be it FNM or PLP, the fact that our leaders do not demand respect for our homeland. That is the problem. And so when Mr. Nygard can have the gall and the audacity, let me read this letter to you. When he can write to the man who is now our Prime Minister and say to him, my total pledge, and I quote, my total pledge and contributions to your party and some of its members is now up to $45,000 to date. Quite significant, I think you will agree. That's Mr. Nygard writing to Perry Christie. I ask you now to help me bring to a final conclusion a few housekeeping issues before I come back. He is telling my Prime Minister what he wants him to do before he comes back from Canada. That is indecent. We have been given approval to build off our property onto the beach area, which is Crown property. Even Nygard knows it's Crown property. He says it in the letter. See attached letter. Also, I've been informed, I don't have to read that part, it's not as emotive as the rest. Let me come. I have also been informed now by 9 Roll that the government has now officially approved the changing of the name of the tip called Nygard Key from the present wording, I believe, to be Sims Point. Well, let me tell Mr. Nygard, my grandmother came from Sims, Long Island, and I want Nygard Key to be called Sims Point, not Nygard Key. So he is asking my Prime Minister to favor him by changing a piece of the Bahamas and calling it Nygard Key instead of Sims Point, where my ancestors are from. That's not acceptable. Then he says, I would also appreciate you getting this done quick, because at the time of writing this letter, Forbes magazine is coming down to do a story here on July 7, today. And for the end of the month, for lifestyles of the rich and famous. So I want the name to be officially changed so it can be promoted in the Bahamas as Nygard Key. He thinks he owns my Prime Minister. Let me tell you, Mr. Nygard, you do not own Perry Christie. He is my servant, my employee. I pay taxes to keep him employed. You don't pay your taxes. Last time I checked, you owed nearly $250,000 in real property taxes at Nygard Key. Who's going to write that check for you? It's about time you paid your taxes too. If you've paid them, that's good for you. But the last document I have shows that you haven't, Mr. Nygard. And then he says, I also want Golden Key rental issue to be resolved, because I am quickly running out of structural work at Nygard Key. Let me tell you all, Golden Key is a little island off Nygard Key. It's a rookery, nesting ground for birds. It's a beautiful little island that has, and you've been there. You've seen, you've toured it. You see all of the reefs around. Mr. Nygard used to mine coral off Golden Key to build his Mayan temple so he can grow stem cells to sacrifice at the altar of eternal youth. Today, on the Daryl Miller Show, he was saying he's reversing the aging process, and Daryl Miller is saying, show me your skin so beautiful. It looks so good. Nygard said, I fix the girls that come to work for me if they don't have the good-looking teeth. I fix their mouths. I fix their teeth. And Mr. Miller says, can you fix mine too? We have to stop prostrating ourselves at the feet of every foreigner that comes in here with some money. White, black, brown, whatever color. I am proud to be a Bahamian, and I'm not going to be owned by anybody. Then he says, I want that lease for Golden Key, and now would be the time to do it. Before July 24th. Because that is when we're going to have the lifestyle of the rich and famous shoot. Then, this is the kicker, ladies and gentlemen. This man, Mr. Peter Nygard, who is asking the government to give him $35 million worth of crown land. You all know how much land is worth in Lyford Key? None of us can buy in Lyford Key. $35 million worth of crown land. He has now applied for permits to get. When every government since the last 16 years, and I have every letter, has repeatedly written to him and said, tear down all your structures. What you've built is illegal. You're not getting any permits. But this man has the audacity to say this to Mr. Perry Christie when he was Minister of Trade, Agriculture, and Industries. Obviously, quote, let me have to quote this, this is beautiful. And this man has the audacity to write this. Obviously, this world is based on one hand helping the other. This man is writing to a cabinet minister, now our prime minister. And my prime minister now has the audacity to set up a consultation process to consider giving Peter Nygard permits to retroactively approve everything he's done illegally for the last 16 years. What do we say? What do we say? No, no, no to Nygard. Let me read you the rest of what he said to Perry Christie. I hope you're listening, Mr. Christie, my prime minister, because you got to say no to Nygard too. Obviously, this whole world is based on one hand helping the other. And you know, I am prepared to do whatever is in my capacity to help out the Bahamas and the PLP party. And, here it is, and of course, yourself in any way that I can. Now, is this the kind of man you want trying to corrupt your prime minister and take away your crown land? Let me hear you say, no.